like to think is I bring a philosophy to everything that I do. There's a why behind everything I do. I tell my team the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Don't be like, oh, that's just that. No, it's not. That's how you think. If you just think that's okay, you think that's okay when it comes to, the president of the United States walks in, somebody, the mayor walks in, a celebrity guest walks in. You would serve them that. No, I wouldn't because that's so-and-so. Nah, you tripping. You just told me your philosophy says that average is okay. We believe as an organization, we're aiming for greatness. We don't have any room for any average mentality, average thoughts. Doing work that you could just say, it was all right, How did you do out on the smoker today, cooking the ribs today? We did all right. How was the effort that you put into it? It was good. It was all right. No.
Welcome world, welcome family to another episode of the EL2A podcast. I am your host, Jamie Gilmore Jr. To the right of me, we got Mr. Military Man, Mr. Miles McConaughey. How you feeling today, brother?
Feeling pretty good today.
Good. To the right of him, we got the Rocket, the highest of 7 hills, Mr. Eddie Rocker. How you feeling today, brother?
Good.
And to the right of him, we got a very, very special. I'm pretty sure this man needs no introduction. I'm pretty sure everybody knows who he is. We got Mr. Big Lee, Mr. Rashad Jones in the house tonight. How you feeling today, brother?
Feeling wonderful, man. It's a pleasure to be here. So
man,
thank you.
So I wanted to start with that, man. It's and I know time is very important, and I do thank you for taking the time to come out and visit with us for a while. So I appreciate you for being here.
Absolutely, man. No problem.
So I want to kick it off. I want to say this two things. The first thing first. I think this interview is going to be a little different. I feel like, and I hope that we're going to be able to get something out of you that we've never gotten before. Obviously, I haven't seen all your interviews, so I can't say that, but there's a different perspective that we want to bring to the interview today, and I just want to make you aware of that. But other than that, I got a gift for you, man.
Oh, wonderful.
So what we got here today, man, so you are cut different, all right? So
Thank
you if cut different was in the dictionary, your picture would be right by it, brother.
Man,
there's a lot of things you do. Been watching from afar. Obviously, we met a while back, and I've been seeing you move around. And I really appreciate how you rep the city. So I know, so you basically from here, because you came down here when you were younger, but I was born and raised here in Ocala, and I take a lot of pride in Ocala. And I'm happy that you are here and you're repping the city in a great way. So this is for you.
Thank
so
you,
we'll
man.
send that down through the thing,
Thank
get that
you,
to you,
thank
bro.
you.
So that's for you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Appreciate it.
So one thing I want to get to, I know when you do a lot of podcasts, barbecue is the discussion. People want to talk about, your barbecue, and that's important to you. But to me, you're so much more than barbecue. To me, I see a black man. I see a family man, a dad, a father, a husband. And as another black man, when I see you, I see a success. And the first question comes to my mind, again, from New Jersey. So Rahway, New Jersey, Elizabeth. I went to school at Temple University, so in Philadelphia. I had a roommate. My roommate actually was from Elizabeth. I've been to Elizabeth, New Jersey. I understand the dynamics of Elizabeth, New Jersey. How do you do it? How do we get from Elizabeth, New Jersey to the Food Network? How does that happen?
Man, that's a great question. That's going to take up the whole entire interview. No, I think how did I go from where I was born and grew up to where everybody sees me at now?
Right.
It's a few things. It's a recipe, right? It's a recipe. It doesn't matter how you start. It doesn't matter where you start. The thing that matters is the recipe. The ingredients you put together, how you cook it up is going to determine the outcome. So for me, I would say the number one thing was my family. I wasn't really the best kid growing up. I wasn't probably the easiest son from my mother and my stepfather. But my mother, she's like one of these women that is very firm and no nonsense, but still very loving. And she constantly provided guidance, So at the age of 18, when she kind of had enough of me doing my own thing, she's like, buddy, you got to get out. You got to move out. You're a legal adult now. You're a grown man. And that was a huge wake up call. That was like the earthquake that made the whole earth underneath me shake and make me really wake up and say, bro, you got to chill. You got to get your life together. So at that same time is when I developed a personal relationship with God. At the age of 18, I always believed in God, but I never lived a life that acknowledged that or represented it. It'd be like me saying, I'm the barbecue guy, but I don't cook no barbecue. I don't eat no barbecue. I just talk about it, So I started to really develop my relationship with God. And then mentors. I think that's another incredibly important, undervalued aspect of the recipe of life, having great mentors. People, you have to have somebody in your life that can tell you, man, that's stupid. Bro, that's a dumb idea.
Right on.
Hey, you did a great job on that. And what were you thinking with that, bro? And not be offended and upset and man, I don't have time for this. You can't tell me what to do. Well, you don't know everything, so you need people. I needed somebody to tell me, hey, man, you're going off course. Your thinking is bent in the wrong direction in this area, Rashad. So having those mentors to help me stay aligned with what they could see from me back then that I couldn't even see for myself. You know, I was a knucklehead guy back then, is what my mom used to call it. That's a kind way of putting it. But then there's what I call the next ingredient is defining moments. If you look back through your life, each one of our lives, there were certain moments where there was something that took place. We went through something, we achieved something, we accomplished something, but it helped to define who we ultimately have become as men. And I had one of those defining moments. One of them was when I met my wife. The other one was when I went to Mississippi in 2011 to visit her family for Thanksgiving. And her Uncle Leon cooked dinner that day. And man, if there was ever a defining moment for my life, that was probably the biggest definitive moment for me. And it was all about inspiration. Right. Inspiration is it's a spark. It's like if I took a little spark and it landed on this carpet or it landed outside in a bed of pine needles or leaves, that little spark can turn into a flame. And that flame with the right fuel, and if you fan it properly, it can turn into an inferno. So after having, my wife's uncle's barbecue, Uncle Leon, that's who I rep, Uncle Leon, having his barbecue for the first time, he gave me the spark, and I fanned that spark into a flame, then I fanned that flame into an inferno, and then my whole background of how I was raised, the values, my mother being like almost borderline obnoxious about how clean the kitchen has to be or how we have to do certain things. The way you do anything, Rashad, is the way you do everything. Yeah. You know, just the standards and, the things that I kicked against when I was a kid, it became the framework of who I became as a businessman. And then just being comfortable in my own skin. When I remember being a teenager, feeling uncomfortable in my own skin, like feeling like, am I strong enough? Am I tall enough? Am I this enough? Am I that? I don't have all the cool sneakers and stuff that the other guys have. I'm not comfortable in my own skin. And I looked at myself in the mirror one day and said, you know what, Rashad, if somebody has a problem with this guy, that's none of your business. That's not your problem. Mm-hmm. Be comfortable with you. You have to live with you for every day for the rest of your life. Get comfortable with this dude. Accept him. Yeah, you made some mistakes. You've done some dumb things, but accept them. So when I had the opportunity to be in front of a camera, I got a Food Network camera in my face right here, like literally this close while I'm trying to cook. Yeah. And it's a competition. And I know somebody's getting cut today, right? Somebody's out of here. Somebody traveled all the way from their home to Los Angeles or Las Vegas or New York or wherever we're at filming. Somebody's getting cut today. How do I keep my composure? How do I not change because the camera's on and say, oh, let me try to be a different type of chef right now? I'm not doing that. I'm comfortable with who I am. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but even with my imperfections, I'm comfortable. Yeah. I'm working on the areas of myself that are not perfect. Yeah. But the areas of me that are good, I'm gonna thrive in those areas. I'm gonna match the gas in those areas. So
I love that.
Those are some of the ingredients that I feel that took me. That's not everything. That's not a comprehensive list. I mean, like I said, we'd be here all day if I went through all those details. But those are the main things that come to mind that helped me transition from the neighborhood I grew up in to where I'm at now. And I do have to say one thing about that neighborhood just to provide context. So my best friend as a kid, his name was Omar. He's a year older than me. So his mom used to babysit me when I first was born, and then my mom would babysit him when his mom had him, and we grew up together. And once I moved from New Jersey, it was the end of my 5th grade year, started 6th grade in Gainesville. Spent 3.5 years in Gainesville, and then moved to Ocala, graduated from Lakewood High School. This dude came from New Jersey to Ocala for my Lakewood graduation. And he made such a big deal about it. He's like, man, I'm just so proud of you, man. This is great, man. You graduate. And I'm like, he made it seem like I just won a Nobel Peace Prize or something. I'm like, it's a high school diploma, man. And he looked at me and he said, you don't get it, do you? I'm like, get what? What are you talking about? He said, you're the only person from our block that we grew up with. Like, you're literally the only person that graduated from high school. And I had forgotten about the neighborhood. I forgot about the kids that I play with. Julio is a kid we play with named Defelicio, the Greek kid. All these guys that I grew up with. He said nobody else graduated from high school. That's why coming down here, being with you meant so much. So that was the environment that I came up in. That's why those family values, my mom was the way she was. She was like, yeah, this is the environment, but I can't let this get inside of you. You know, you have this inside of you, these home values. So that I don't want to miss out on that part.
And that's you kind of walked into right where I was going.
Okay.
When I first started the interview, I said I wanted to go somewhere different, and you kind of just went down that path. Coming from the communities we come from, systematically, we usually are placed in situations that are harder for us to reach a level of success. When I see you and I said I see you as a success, that's the eye lens I see you from. The average person that tunes into the Food Network and watch you, they're not looking at you like that. They didn't like this little brother comes from Elizabeth, New Jersey, and when they think that they can think about the things that are actually going on in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and how hard it was for you to overcome that. That's why I said that. I heard you say in the interview, you can be in an environment and not of an environment.
Absolutely.
I heard you say that.
Yeah.
And when you say those words, or when you hear that, what does that mean?
It's a blessing, first of all, because it's like throwing a sponge in an ocean and saying, now don't be salty when I pull you out. That's kind of hard for the sponge to do, right? It's like me throwing this t-shirt in a bucket of black dye and tell the t-shirt, now you better still be red when I pull you out. That's hard to do. As individuals, we're absorbent. Every single one of us are absorbent. The people that are listening to me right now, they're absorbing something off of what I'm saying. But when an entire neighborhood or an entire environment is a certain way and you escape all of what that neighborhood presented to you on a daily basis, I don't even talk about the things that I saw growing up. Because it's like, I didn't realize that at the time, but it's like traumatic. It was traumatic, but I didn't know back then, like witnessing somebody like get shot on the way to the corner store with my best friend was traumatic. I just remember seeing that and like blocking that out of my mind, like just all the stuff that I was around and saw growing up. So the first word I think of is blessing. It's a blessing, bro. It's a blessing. I ask myself, what did I really do to be fortunate enough to have a mother who wouldn't give up and who wouldn't quit? I didn't have very much to do with that. What did I do to have the mentors that I've had throughout my life? Yeah, I had to put myself in the position and place to listen to them and receive the things they had to say, but I view it as a blessing, man. It would be nice to think that, I made all the right moves at every step and I avoided all the things that could have hit me or taken me down or caused me to become a statistic. But I can't give myself that much credit. I truly can't. I can't give myself that much credit because I've put myself in situations where things could have went left very easily, like very, very easily. But when I said I have a relationship with God, there's a real thing is grace. Like when you see these videos and somebody just moved out of the way in the nick of time and they almost got smashed by an 18-wheeler or, and they escape those things. That happens to us every day. Like it happens to us every day. The idea of mercy is very real. The things that I've done that were not the smartest choices when I was a teen, that could have had me hemmed up in some not good situations. Yeah. But I always say, man, God is good. And, I accept that. And then trying to learn from every single situation when you're in that environment, because at every junction in life, there's an opportunity. You could either always go right or you could always go left. The temptation or the desire to do something that's off, it's going to be there. But you still can say, man, I don't want to do that today. I don't want to do that tomorrow. I don't think I ever want to do that. And that was really the person that was inside of me. I wasn't drawn to it, man. I was around it, but I wasn't drawn to it. So once I had the opportunity to see something different, be around something different, engage in something that was different than what I grew up in, that was exciting. That was thrilling to be able to say, man, this is different. We moved from New Jersey for a reason, you know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Do you ever get sick of, so right now I'm 30 years old, right here in this city that we're in right now, California, I can literally name to you double digit people that I've grown up with that I have died for different reasons, if it's gun violence or just different reasons, drug, whatever. And you just said a statement of somebody that you grew up with that died and others that didn't graduate high school, and there's no
Right.
telling where they're at right now. Do you ever feel a sense of survivor's remorse, or why me? Why did I get this opportunity?
Man, that's a great question. So that's how you get a great interview.
Yeah.
You got to ask great questions. Survivor's remorse. I can't say that I would describe it in that way. I would say I felt fortunate. That's the word. That's the way I would use to describe it. I would feel fortunate to know that somebody's life was cut short, or even if they're still alive, but they're not even living life to the fullest because of an addiction, or you know, their maybe criminal history is creating a lot of roadblocks for them. It's just super unfortunate. There's nothing you can do to go back and change the hands of time to create a different situation. Sometimes we're presented with unfortunate situations, right? You what are you gonna do about it at that point? You know, I have family members that share the same blood that I have in my veins right now, who, you know, for whatever reason made choices, landed them in a situation, and now life is harder than the regular hard. You know what I'm saying? So I can't say I feel a sense of remorse. I just feel fortunate that for whatever reason, like I said, God's grace, God's mercy, you know, the things that I should have experienced that I didn't experience, I'm grateful. But remorse, I wouldn't say that's the word I would use to describe, you know, how I feel. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So,
You get to the point where hearing your story, so I mean, I heard of Big Leagues before, but I never had a chance to actually sit down and talk to you. So even off camera, you were talking about Jamie asked you what when you hear cut different, what did you think? So
Right.
that first, as I was eating your food, but that first what grabbed my attention about
Right.
you. But then when you hear the backstory of where you've been and the things that you experienced in life, but being able to get basically you were picked out of the situation and given another opportunity, so to
Right.
speak. There are a lot of people that they would use that they have the potential to be they could have been big leagues in a sense, whatever field, whatever business that they were in, but they allowed their situations, the things that they grew up with, the people that were in their life, their dads walking out on them,
Right.
you know, all of those situations, they allowed those things to stop them from being great.
Mm-hmm.
Why did that stop? Why didn't you allow that to stop you from being who you are?
I actually did for a while. That's
Yeah.
what I meant. I did for a while. You know, that's what I meant earlier when I said the direction I was going in. I mean, I was headed towards it.
Yeah.
You know, I was. But the why is because, you know, I think timing had a lot to do with it. When I was younger, it was hard to talk to me. It was hard to really explain anything to me. That I had what a lot of people refer to as I don't care attitude, because I accepted a lot of what I thought was my reality. Like this is just what it is. I don't really care. You know, my teacher's trying to get through to me. You want me to call your mom? I don't care. I know good and well I'm gonna get in trouble,
Don't
but
call my mom.
that was my mentality. I just didn't care. So I think by the time, you know, God was trying to get a hold of me, and the people in my life were trying to get a hold of me, I think there was a certain readiness in my mentality where I really didn't want the life that I had produced for myself. Being homeless and living at the Salvation Army at the age of 18, that kind of helps ripen you up a little bit too. Like when you're sleeping in that dorm and you smell the odors that are in there, and your bed is this wide, and there's not a whole lot of optimism when you think about tomorrow. It's going to look very much like today. It makes you second guess the choices and decisions that you make. It's like, I was the cool guy in high school. What am I doing here? You know, what am I doing here? I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a vision. I didn't take very many things in life seriously. But I feel like, you know, that situation, along with, you know, my mentality was starting to change, having good mentors in my life, And I truly do believe that was a part of my life where God really was trying to get a hold of me. You say, hey man, I have more for you. I created you for a purpose. I created you for a reason. You're not utilizing any of it right now. So I think those are some things I think that contributed to the change and the difference that I experienced.
That
And then-
oh my bad. Let me get that for you because are you moving on the Salvation Army spot? So what? Because I never heard that. What got you there? I guess in that situation. What got you there, and then I guess what did you learn from that situation?
So another excellent question. So I'd say from the age of 12 to 18, I was in this phase of where I really didn't care what anybody had to say. You know, teachers, the dean at school had a big old stack of referrals for just the dumbest stuff ever. And then also my family members. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. My older siblings would try to talk to me. My stepdad would try to talk to me. And then my mom, you know, she wouldn't talk. She would have a different tone with me. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't listen to any of them. Like, I didn't care what they had to say. I truly didn't. Like, you couldn't get me to show an interest in what anybody had to say for those 6 years. So by the age of 18, my life reflected that. My life reflected a life that somebody who spent 6 years not caring would look like. And like when I said earlier, my mother was like, you're 18 now. You had this attitude. Nobody can tell you anything. You've allowed yourself to become this version of yourself. You're not doing this in my house. That's where the tough love came in. And she said, you got to get out. On my 18th birthday, that was my birthday present when I turned 18. That was my introduction into manhood.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So she said, don't touch anything that you didn't pay, that you didn't buy either. If I paid for it, you better not touch it. And I want you out of my house by this time. And in the moment, I'm like, this is crazy. She's literally tripping right now. Like, what am I supposed to do right now? And she said, that's a good question. But you had all these years where we told you, hey, what are you going to do after high school? So who's really tripping, Rashad? I'm like, oh, wow. There's no comeback. I didn't have a smart aleck response to that. So I packed all my stuff in a black trash bag. It was clothes, shoes. You know, we had CDs back then. And maybe like a couple video games, some deodorant, some cologne. That was about it. And I worked a part-time job for a few years, but that's all I had to show for it. You need to do something more with your money other than spend it. That's not the only thing you can do with money, Rashad. Man, you tripping, man. I'm about to get these, whatever, So when I left the house, it was the weirdest feeling I'd ever felt. I used to drive a little small 1990 Subaru Justy, little hatchback car, super small car. It wasn't cool or nothing, but that's how I got around. And I put my bag in the back hatch, and she made my brother get out the same day. She's like, both of y'all got to go. Like, y'all are not helping each other. Y'all are not being how y'all supposed to be, and I'm not going to support it. Y'all got to get out. Y'all want to do this, you're going to do it somewhere else, but not here. So we're riding around, and then he's like, I'm like, where are you about to go? He's like, man, you could drop me off at the Salvation Army, but, I know I can stay there. And I'm like, bro, he's tripping. I'm not staying at the Salvation Army. So let me call a couple of my friends. So I called one of my friends, and I told him what happened. He started laughing. It infuriated me because I'm like, I'm at my lowest, and my friend is laughing. So I'm like, all right, man, I'll holler at you later. He's like, nah, my parents won't let you stay here, man. Nah, they're not going for that. Get off the call my other friends, 2 close friends back then. Same thing. He didn't laugh, but he's like, yo, you for real? You got kicked out, bro. Yo, you homeless, bro? I'm like, why you have to say it like that, man? But the reality of that's what the situation was. So I'm riding around with a quarter tank of gas with no money in my pocket. And it's like 6 p.m. at this point. And my brother's like, yeah, you could go ahead and drop me off, man, because, we got to get checked in by a certain time where they won't let you stay there. So I'm like, yo, this is crazy. This is literally crazy right now. I went from 24 hours ago not thinking about anything, just chilling. The next day, I'm thinking, where am I going to live at? Where am I going to sleep at? I'm hungry, as a matter of fact. I'm hungry now, but I don't have any money in my pocket. So I dropped my brother off down there, and I sat in the parking lot for a while, and I'm just looking around, all these people. I'm like, I feel out of place. But they got something in there that I need. So now I got to be humble. Remember I mentioned that earlier? Mm-hmm. The humility, the being humble. And I had to lower myself from where I had been for those 6 years, 12 to 18, and walk in there, and it was good. This was healthy. This was healthy for me. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was stripping away all of the stuff that I didn't need to be carrying around in life in the first place. Got stripped down to just, this is who I am. A guy with literally nothing, a bag in the hatchback of a vehicle with a quarter tank of gas in it with no money in his pocket whatsoever. So that's the place where I built from, and that's how I ended up homeless. I had to live there I was there for a couple months. You know what I'm saying? And every day was a lesson. It was a quiet lesson inside of my mindset where I had to ask myself a lot of questions. I had to do a lot of soul searching. And I realized that as many times as I could try to blame my mother or try to blame my dad because they got divorced when I was 4, try to blame this, like that's not helping me right now though. I need answers. Like, how do I get out of here? Like, I work a part-time job and I take a couple classes at CF. How do I get out of this? I had to think. I had to come up from that. And that's the place, like I said, the timing of where I feel like God was calling me in that moment. And that's when I really, you know what I'm saying, developed a relationship with God in that moment. And I started changing on the inside out. You know what I'm saying?
So I want to tell you a different angle at it, because I know throughout the interview so far, God's been mentioned a lot, and it's very important, as we all know. But definitely with how we work alongside the youth and how we talk about trying to move the needle, trying to improve our communities. You know, stories like yours need to be blasted everywhere because you see God in every bit of it. I mean, from the praying mom. I know I grew up in a southern old black church, and many Sundays, you know, we would be told, a lot of us, you know, we're living off of Big Mama's prayers. You know, Big Mama keeping us safe because of the prayers she's sending out for us. You see that in your story. You see the wisdom being given to you to say, you know, you can be in this neighborhood but not of it. You know, biblically, same thing. We should be of the world but not in the world. You know, we're human. We should have interactions with other people, but we shouldn't, like you said, take on those negative traits. You see that as well. And then you mention your wife. So you mentioned how meeting her led you to Uncle Leon, which gave you the inspiration for Big Lee's. And I know in our community, a lot of times, unfortunately, we see marriage as like this arbitrary thing, or is not taking it serious anymore as it should. But because you did all these things that God calls us to do as a man, to sit there and get that helpmeet, to get that wife, and all these things, you know, that literally led you to your blessing to where you are now. And I just didn't want that to go amiss, because, you know, we really got to stress those points, because for someone with the impact that you have, the exposure that you have, the platform that you have, you know, it is just a testament to God moving in your life. And with all that being said, I really want to ask you, you know, I hear you talk about humility a lot, and I can tell that you are, but what helps you lock into that humility with all the accolades, with all the, you know, breakthroughs that you're doing, and, you know, as a black man who's coming from a divorce home, you know, in a rough area, all these things, I mean, you come a tremendous way. So how do you lock into that humility?
Man, that's another great question. I feel like that's a key ingredient. I feel like I study a lot. You know, I study with the two eyes that's right here in my head, watching and observing life. And I've noticed the people that are humble, it's like they go farther, and when they climb higher, they stay at the top longer. The people that start absorbing themselves so much, and they get really, really, really full of themselves, and they look at their wall of accomplishments or achievements and stuff like that, they stop doing the things that help them to produce the results that's hanging on that wall. And they start slipping. They get carried away with their own successes. And it's kind of funny. I remember one of the times I did some work with Guy Fieri. He signed he had his team get one of his posters, and he signed it for me, and he wrote some nice things on it. And you ever seen those cardboard poster holders, like a cylinder with the plastic caps on the end? They gave it to me inside of that. And I got back home, I brought it to my office, I put it in a black trash bag, rolled it up, and put it under a futon. at one of at our original Big Lee's location. So we're moving from this location, and one of our managers, she said, "You want me to go pack up the office, Rashad?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great." And she found the trash bag with the thing, opened it up and pulled it out, and I'm like, "What is this doing under the futon?" And she brought it out to me and the whole team. She's like, "Rashad, why did you have this under the futon? Why isn't this posted up somewhere?" And I felt kind of like embarrassed because I didn't know if everybody would get it. But I said, a part of me doesn't really like to look at the awards too much because it's doing like this.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to where I'm at in life by doing like this too much. It's vision. It's having a vision. A vision is forward thinking. A vision is in front of you. You can't accomplish or even see your vision looking backwards. So I think humility is like, it's like what the framework is made out of. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you build a building, it might have a good structure to it. It might have a great frame. But what is the frame made out of? You know what I'm saying? I want my frame to be made out of a really great material. And the framework for me is humility. It's always understanding that I can be at a high place in life, but my heart and my headspace still needs to be lowly. I don't need to be like this, feeling like this over people, or walk in a room and people, you know, I'm putting myself up with my energy and other people feel like they got to fall back. I don't need to suck all the air out of the room because I was on a TV show. I don't need to have everybody, "Oh, hey, it's Rashad. Listen." I don't need that. I feel like that's the stuff that distracts you from your purpose. That's the stuff that you can get intoxicated off of that. You can get drunk off of praise. You know, I once heard somebody say, "I'm not as best as my biggest fans say that I am, and I'm not as bad as my biggest critics say that I am. I'm probably somewhere in the middle." That's a humble mindset. That's a mindset of humility. Yeah, y'all might have said this, but I know me. Yeah, man, this barbecue, man, this is the best barbecue in the world. Oh my God. Man, I never tasted any barbecue like this before. And I appreciate it. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. I truly do appreciate it. Thank you. But I'm not walking out, man, you heard what they said? This is the best barbecue in the world, y'all.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody messing with me. That's the wrong mentality. Wrong mentality. It's better to let somebody else say that about the food, if that's what their experience was, but let me keep doing what I need to do to keep things going in the right direction. And getting drunk off of praise, it doesn't do it. It doesn't do it. So I feel like that's what I want my framework to be made out of. And I don't shy away from my faith, because when people say, "Well, we want to interview you, we want you to open up and talk," I'm gonna talk about it now. You know, this is a big part of who I am. So one of my favorite scriptures says, "God resists the proud, but He gives grace to the humble." I love that, because like if I want God to give me this supernatural power, He didn't say I even have to do anything. He just be humble. You just sit there and relax, chill. I'm not out there trying to like push people out of my way. Let me step on this one so I can reach a little bit higher. I don't want that. I want no part of that. I'd rather have God extend grace to me because I'm just being humble. I'm not trying to be better or bigger than anybody. I'm Rashad Jones. That's all I will ever be. So an award on my wall. I didn't even announce this yet. I'll break it on this platform right here.
Get it. Hey, we got some breaking news before he says it.
I haven't even said this anywhere
We got
else.
some breaking news live on the EL2A podcast. Let's hear it. What we got?
So I'm gonna be on another Food Network show coming out this month. It actually debuts on me and my wife's anniversary, April 12th.
Let's get it.
It's called Best Bite in Town. Guy tapped me to be one of the judges on the show.
Let's go.
So every year since 2017, there's been something.
Yeah.
You know, but I can't see myself staring at the awards or looking at these accomplishments and these different things and still think that energy is the energy that moves things forward. Because to stand there and look at the awards, that means you're stagnant. You have to be in one place to look at the award right there. But if you're on the move, I don't have time for that. You know, I'm trying to create opportunity for my staff. I'm trying to create opportunity for my sons. I'm trying to be a positive light in our community. And humility is so important because, like you said, oh, people know you, they recognize you. I know we all know this as a fact. People will do this, whether you succeed or if you fail, people would be like,
Right.
that was an entertaining fall from grace, bro. You know what I'm saying? They'll clap. You see it every day. Somebody could be out there doing the biggest and the best thing. You know, they mess up, something happens, and people would cheer. They'd be like, yay, you know, LeBron sucks or Jordan sucks, you know. So it comes with the territory of people, you know, wanting to recognize you for stuff, but you can't ever just forget who you are. Like, I am still the same Rashad Jones. I'm no more Rashad Jones if they tell me you got, you know, 10 more awards lined up for next week for something. I'm still Rashad. I still got to wake up in the morning, brush my teeth, take a shower, get dressed, drop my kids off to school, be a good husband to my wife. My mom needs something. Okay, mom, I'll be right there. I'll be there to take care of it. Can't get too big in your own mind. You know what I'm saying?
Man, have you liked, subscribed, or commented yet?
Takes 2 seconds. Comment also is a great way to help us refine what we do here.
You family, right? We need you.
Come on, man. Like, subscribe, and comment. Peace. Like how you just said, you're still Rashad Jones. You are Rashad Jones, but there's something special about you, brother. And I'm going to tell you why. Just like Uncle Leon was in Mississippi cooking that good barbecue, you can go all around the world and somebody's uncle is cooking good barbecue. You can even go down the road, Resto Cali, somebody on every corner cooking barbecue. That's pretty good. What separates you? What makes you special? How do you build this? Let's try to get in the business side of it. How do we get here? Because again, people are cooking good barbecue everywhere, but they didn't create this. How do we get this?
This dude is asking the best questions, y'all. No, that's the $1 million question, right? Everybody's doing this. The fact that I got ribs, chicken, brisket, pulled pork, sausage on the smoker, that is not unique. That mac and cheese, the street corn, everything that we have on the menu, somebody else has that same stuff on their menu. I don't get my brisket from any sort of special cows that drink a magical potion. I don't have any secret ingredient. There's no special salt or pepper or seasoning that we mixing up that nobody else knows about. There's no secret ingredient. There's none of that. This is the best. That's one of the best questions to ask, because if you can keep subtracting, what are you left with? I use the same brisket that my competitors probably use. The same ribs that I get in is probably the same exact product that my competitors, not necessarily competitors, but for lack of a better term, my competitors. I don't look at them, oh, you my competition, I got to take you down. It's not that energy, but you know what I'm saying.
For sure.
The same chickens that we bring in, same chicken they got. The same salt, pepper, onions right on down the road. It's the same. There's no special ingredient. So now we got to subtract all of that, because that's not a difference maker. It's not. This type of brisket I use is not a secret. I tell everybody, USDA choice brisket. Wait, you don't use prime? No. I know a lot of people who do. Man, the guy that uses prime, I've had his before, but I like yours better. How do you explain that? A more expensive product than what I use, but you said this one tastes better. How could that be? So what are we getting to? It boils down to a philosophy, in my opinion. I look at it the same way in sports, right? You have what, 32 teams in the NFL? All of these players are pretty much identical. Everybody's running a 4-point-something 40. In a millisecond difference, it's really the same. You might think, oh man, he ran a 4.2 40 versus a 4.3 40. Is that 10th of a second, is that a game changer really? It's really not. The thing that breaks it down is the philosophy behind this team, and these group of individuals that come together. The philosophy is what makes the difference. There's been great players in terrible organizations and they don't accomplish anything. There's been great players that have been top of their class, #1 student athlete in the country, broke more records than anybody else on the field when they were in college. But you get to the league, now you're in this organization, your skill set is the same. It's actually better than the people you're competing against. But you don't get the W's. Why? The organization, the philosophy that makes up what this entity actually is. It's either taking the skill sets and abilities of these individuals and amplifying them, or it's taking the skill sets and all the great things about these individuals and it's hindering them. What I would like to think is I bring a philosophy to everything that I do. There's a why behind everything I do. I tell my team, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. Don't be like, oh, that's just that. No, it's not. That's how you think. If you just think that's okay, you think that's okay when it comes to the president of the United States walks in, somebody, the mayor walks in, a celebrity guest walks in. You would serve them that. No, I wouldn't, because that's so-and-so. Nah, you tripping. You just told me your philosophy says that average is okay. We believe as an organization, we're aiming for greatness. We don't have any room for any average mentality, average thoughts. Doing work that you could just say, it was all right. How did you do out on the smoker today, cooking the ribs today? Oh, we did all right. How was the effort that you put into it? It was good. It was all right. No, that's a universal principle. Is your life philosophy is what's going to determine the level of success you achieve. If you think that okay is good enough, do not be mad if you don't ever accomplish great outcomes. You can't be mad at that. You can't. So I think that's the difference. It's the philosophy. It's the mentality behind what we do. You can have, let's go back to sports. Y'all remember when the Cavs was down 3-1 to the Warriors? Imagine what the whole world thought versus what one individual probably thought.
Yeah.
Mentality. Y'all saying it's impossible because y'all don't think y'all could do it. And y'all are looking at history books saying that it's never been done before in sports history, so you believe that. What's the voice that's going on inside? If we knock that cap off, what's going on inside of the head, inside of the mind? I might be the only person on the planet that thinks we can do this. I might have to pass the ball to a guy that, man, we're gonna lose the game anyway. And I still gotta work through that. That's philosophy. That's mentality. It's the way you go about doing every single thing that it is that you do. If you believe that you're a winner, that can't change just because the things say 3-1. And history says it's never been done before. That's the moment where something inside of you has to completely defy history. That's the moment inside of you where you have to produce off of what you said you believe. Because your belief can't change based on circumstance. You want me to only be your friend in the good time? No, you don't want that. Man, I'm in a tough situation, man. I don't call, and I ain't get your call, man. I ain't see that text, man. It can't be that way because that's not a good philosophy. Your philosophy is fragmented and broken. It's not solid. You got to be solid with your philosophy, with your approach, and with your mentality. I feel like that's the only difference between us and anybody else that says, man, I do the same thing. My food better than his. It very well may be that. So now you got to explain, what's the difference? Why are the results different? You see what I'm saying?
How do we get here, though? So, because you speaking my language right now, like I'm getting hyped up talking about this. So when it comes to cut different in mentorship, most parents bring their kids to us and say, this kid has a behavior problem. This behavior is bad and I want you to fix it. We don't take a behavioral approach, behavior modification. We take a mindset modification approach because we understand if we can change your mind, that's going to change your behavior. So the same thing I'm hearing you saying, in the beginning, you told your story, you ended up in the Salvation Army.
Yep.
So at that time, your mindset couldn't have been in the place. But now the person that's speaking to us today is a whole different. So how do one change their mindset? How does the person that watching this, how do they get to the point to where their mindset shifts and they can be able to see this thing the way they should?
Well, you're on fire with these questions. I had a conversation with my wife last week. I faced a series of tests, throughout my life, and I faced some tests recently. Just life will test you sometimes. It's not a surprise. Anybody that's listening to me right now probably felt that, like, man, it's a trying time. A lot of different things are going on in different areas of life. And I not told her, but we had a conversation. And I said, baby, I had to remind myself that it's 3 parts to who I am. And this is going to address your question. I have a body, made up of my muscles, my skin, my bones, my cartilage, but that's not who I am. That's a part of me, but it's not who I am. And I told her I got a soul inside of me. I have a mind that can think and ideate, produce ideas and comprehend, problem solve, analyze. Inside of my soul, there's not only a mind, but there's emotions. I can feel a bunch of different ways in any given situation. I can be angry, happy. I can experience joy. I can experience the emotion of grief. I can experience the emotion of feeling overwhelmed. All of that happens in my soul. That's not happening in my bone. That's not happening in my skin. That's not happening in a little bit of hair I have left. That's happening in my soul, my emotions. Then I have a will inside of my soul. My will is the thing that causes me to be disciplined or not. It's hard right now. Yeah, it's hard. But I have the willingness to still do it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the right thing to do, not because it's easy. But then I have a spirit. You know what I'm saying? I have a spirit inside of me. And that's the real part of who I am. That's the essence of who I am. That's my personality. That's the essence of everything that y'all see about me. So so when you really think about, mindset, and you really think about how do you change your mindset, I think it starts with understanding really the distinguishing characteristics of who you are. The struggle is not happening in my body. If I'm having a tough time in life, it ain't because I'm not physically strong. It's some dudes that's ripped. You know what I'm saying? They could bench press 450, 500 pounds. That's not the problem. Your body's good, bro. Let's talk about that soul. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that spirit, which have you been feeding your spirit and nourishing your spirit? Can your spirit bench press 500 pounds? Mm-hmm. Can your spirit run? I jog 8 miles every day. That's great. Your body's good, bro. But what about this other part? Mindset. What's happening in your soul right now? What's happening inside of your mind? What thoughts are you thinking? What comes across your mind when you're in a tough situation and everything is not going your way? What do you hear your mind saying? Man, I knew this was gonna happen. This happens to me every time, man. Tired of this junk, man. Forget this. I'm not even gonna do this. Nobody else can hear you. But it's a mental gym that we go through every day. It's a workout that we're in every day. And I was working out with a trainer like a year ago. First time I ever worked out with a trainer. Okay. And I met him at the same conference a year later after I met you.
Yeah.
And he was like, I want to do some sessions with you. I think it'll really help, with some of the goals you have. And I thought it was about fitness and and I was in this machine doing leg presses and I struggled to get 15. He said, give me 15. I struggled to get, I was like, got that last one. I was like, I'm glad that's done. He's like, all right, take a breather, get you some water. He's like, now I want you to get 45. And in my mind, I'm like, bro, you know how you feel when somebody pushes you beyond your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. They're telling you something that's good for you, but you don't want to hear it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, I wanted to walk out of the gym and be like, man, don't text me, don't call me. I don't want to work out with you no more. Right. They give me 45. And he taught me such a valuable lesson that day. His name's DJ. He said, Rashad, you got to stop doing this. And I just listened to him. He said, I've watched you. And every time you get to the point where it's hard, you start thinking about quitting and you start thinking about giving it up. I can see it in your actions. I can see it in your facial expressions. He said, what you have to do is realize this is not about the weight, that's the plates that's on the machine. This is not about 45. This is about you finally addressing your mindset in these times where it's difficult or when it's hard. I'm thinking, man, I done been through difficult things before, I done pressed through. That's how I got here. I'm thinking this. And he kept pushing me. He said, I want you to hop back in there, just lock in, block everything else out, and give me 45. And I'm thinking, that's triple of where I was struggling. How can I do that? Yeah. And I said, just lock in, man. Just lock in. You can do this. Hopped in the machine, and I'm listening to him. I didn't want to listen to him. The old version of Rashad that knows better, what you telling me this for, I don't care, started to try to creep back into my mindset. But I listened to him. I let them good words come into my mindset. And I started pressing in that machine. And I remember thinking, man, I'm approaching 15. That's where it was a struggle. No, it was not. 40. All right, 17. 22. Man, I feel like fire inside of my legs. Whew, 30. Oh man, I'm only 15 away. 35. And there he comes. He never said, keep going, you can do this. He left me alone. He didn't say none of that. Right. Quiet. 44. 45. If you got more in, you keep going. That's the only thing he said. And I did it just to spite my mindset. 47. And I got up out of the machine. I was like, and I just let out a yell.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not the, look how strong I am. It wasn't that.
Yeah.
It was like, I just defeated something that needed to be defeated in me. Because I've been defeated before.
Yeah.
But this time I needed to defeat something that was in me. Now the mindset is very, very different now, just off of that experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to working with kids or working with anybody, that's the bedrock of the issue is how are you you could be in a perfect situation, but might not even be able to have the mind to see it or understand it. You might be a pessimist. You're in a perfect opportunity of a situation, but your pessimism takes over and causes, but I don't know about this because it costs this much and it's probably going to take this long and who's going to help me with it? Bro, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. You literally are in a dream opportunity and all you can think of is the pessimistic negative side. What are you doing? Those are the times where you have to defeat that side of the mind that will cause you to miss out on opportunities. It will cause doors of opportunities to slam shut in your face. It will cause you to not ask a question that you should have asked that could have linked you to a massive part of your destiny. That pessimism, negativity. I have this right here on my, see what it say? Let me go back to it. People spend too much time doing and not enough time thinking about what they should be doing. You know, what I got to do today? Well, yeah, you're doing stuff, but are you thinking through what you're doing? What's the why behind it? You know, and really paying attention to the thoughts that like to circulate and marinate in our mind. It's one of the most important things that you can do in life. I won't say the most, but it's one of the most. Our mind is one of the most underutilized parts of who we are. It's one of the most overlooked areas that we possess in a day. So many people look in the mirror and make sure I look okay. And then in my nose and then in my eye, look okay. My shirt look, you know. But you didn't even look at your mind today. Mm-hmm. What thoughts really went through your head today? Mm-hmm. How many thoughts came to try to sabotage you out of a situation or opportunity today? We gonna let that slide. That's like walking around with the dried up stuff on your mouth. You was dreaming real good and this just dried up right here. You walking around with your face looking like that. We would never do that. You would not even think about looking at that, seeing that in the mirror. I don't care, I'm good, and walk out of the house. You would never do that. But our mind, we'll neglect our mind. We'll allow ourselves to get angry over something we shouldn't even be angry about. Mm-hmm. And you talk about jeopardizing opportunity. Shoot, I ain't letting nobody talk to me like that. Nah, man. I'm not letting nobody cut in front of me in traffic like that. That's not gonna happen. Yeah. What you gonna do? You gonna pull your vehicle over, make them stop and fight them? What we doing now? The mind will push you to that limit. Yeah. If you don't check it, if you don't make sure that mindset and those thoughts are aligned with your vision, your mind could actually be your worst enemy. It's not the guy over there that you think is trying to copy or do what you're doing. Mm-hmm. That mind, man. That's the most powerful thing. It's one of the most powerful things that we possess. It's underutilized, and we can make so many more great gains in life if we just pay attention to our thinking and allow somebody to coach us with our thinking. Some people need a coach for their mindset. Right. The trap. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why too. And we talked about on a pod maybe a week or two ago, but talking about intentionality. You know, having intention. We talked to the boys about that a lot. Because I know a lot of times too, we'll tell them before you even step into the school, think about what it is you're here to gain. What is it you're here to actually tackle for the day? Right. Because it focuses that mind. A lot of people are walking around on airplane mode, basically on autopilot. They're not really focusing on anything. They're just coasting. And I mean, life also makes it a little bit easy to do that through distractions, phones, social media, different things. It's very easy to just kind of plug out and just kind of coast throughout the day. And then, a lot of times, like you said, people don't even pay attention to the mental landscape until things go awry. Then it's like, oh, well, what's going on with this? It's like you have to set that that predestination, the vision. You have to set all that up before every little thing you do. And for some people, that's taxing because they haven't, like you was using the gym reference, they haven't flexed those muscles enough. They haven't went in there and strengthened it to where it's like everything I do, I need to have some level of intention, no matter how big, how small. And like you saying, the way you do one thing is how you do all things. It comes from that intention.
Yep, I agree.
The adversity thing too is one thing I just heard you say when you were saying your thing. So the mind can cause us to adversity, because you're putting yourself in thinking about things you shouldn't be thinking about, and there's a whole lot of adversity, you said. So as you were saying that, I started thinking about you as a business, as Big Lee's. When it comes to adversity, reaching the heights, where they say new levels, new devils, you're always going to be able to, there's going to be things that come against you. Even at us in our early stage, we've been 4 years. When we first, appreciate it, but when we first started, there was a lot of things we really didn't have to worry about. Now we've gotten to the point where we're getting contracts, where people know us, and there's things that have come up against us. Also, when I'm thinking about you, so you at you on TV, you doing all these things, so I can only imagine, maybe things that don't even come out that we know is going on in the scenes, behind the scenes, and things you have to deal with. How do you deal with adversity?
Adversity is the name of the game. I mean, we deal with it every day. Gravity is adversity, right? It's the force that pulls you towards the center of the earth. Adversity is in every single thing. I think you got to know how to leverage every situation, even in tough times. Tough times come, and your mindset can tell you that this tough time has come because I did something bad. Oh man, why did I do this? Man, I wish I would have known. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, all of that sort of stuff. It's not the purpose of a tough time. A tough time comes to teach you something. And if you can understand that in those moments, you're able to leverage more benefits out of a tough time than what you might perceive a tough time can do to destroy you or to hurt you. You know what I'm saying? So I think it starts with perspective, really realizing what a tough time is. It's part of the game. It's like a tackle. It's a missed shot. It's a missed free throw. It's losing a game. It's rolling your ankle. It's getting them stingers where it's like, man, I got a stinger in my arm. I can't even move that's adversity, But if you can get back out there and keep doing your thing, you just prove something to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Every time you overcome adversity, you prove to yourself that I've learned a new skill. I've identified a new aspect of knowledge because I must have been ignorant in some area before. If this thing is staring me in my face, I must not have known something, or else I would not have let this happen. I would have made a different move or a different situation to avoid this. But accountability teaches me I'm responsible for everything that happens in my life. Everything. I can't take, my wife, my kid. Nah, man. Rashad, this is your life. You're 100% accountable. So if I can take what's on my plate and I can eat it and digest it and process it, for the good or bad, that's going to help me. You know what I'm saying? And I think adversity comes also to teach you something about your mindset. It teaches you whether you're holding yourself accountable or not, or whether you're looking to say that this happened for some other reason. Because if it happened for some other reason, guess what, pal? You're in trouble. Now it's out of your control. It's out of your hands. If you're not to blame for this adversity that you're experiencing in your life, what you gonna do about it? You can't change nobody else. You could barely change yourself. I know people who bite their fingernails and they want to stop. They can't stop biting their fingernail. It's their own fingernail, but they can't stop biting it. How does that work? Yeah. It's connected to your own body, but you can't stop. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like adversity, there's a gift inside of adversity. Man, some of the greatest breakthroughs in life came through adversity. Some of the greatest moments in history came through adversity. You're able to discover your inner hero in times of adversity. You're able to discover that there's a warrior inside of you during times of adversity. Adversity shows you a lot about who you are, but it all goes back to perspective. I have this saying that I always like to say that my wife and I have 4 sons, and they're amazing kids. And then even at work at Big Lee's, I tell people sometimes the problem isn't the problem. Sometimes the problem is just the way you see the problem. How is it that some people see a problem and then other people see opportunity? With the same adversity presented, how is it that I see it as a problem, but then you see it as an opportunity. That means that you have a very different perspective than me, because you're looking at the north. We're looking at the same thing, but you see the North Pole, but I see the South Pole, and we're looking at the same thing. And what I want is not in the South Pole. The answers that I need are not in the South Pole. It's in the North Pole, but as hard as I look, I can only see the South Pole.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I feel like it goes back to that perspective, mentality, thinking about how you're thinking, spending time thinking about how you're thinking about adversity. I don't know any business owner who hasn't had tough times. Staffing, labor costs, cost of goods. I mean, it's an endless list. You know, somebody calls out from work on a shift that you on a busy day. That's adversity. What do? You make it through it, and at the end of that feeling, it's actually it feels exhilarating. It's like, man, we just did this. We were supposed to lose today, but we still won. And it sometimes it shows you, man, have we been operating heavy? Wow, I never thought of that. We made it through this shift, and we normally would have an extra person here, but we made it. We didn't have any problems. Ticket times are great. Customers happy. Food is great. There's a lesson inside of that adversity. But if the tendency is, man, I don't want to deal with this, another problem, your perspective is off, and you'll miss out on a lot of blessings in life.
Yeah.
Speaking of adversity, going back to the quote, new levels mean new devils. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the devil, it's the same devil, but the intensity it requires to combat it changes. It increases. So sometimes when we're working with young men, they'll have a thorn in their side of sorts that just continues to plague them. And that comes with a certain level of added frustration when you're actively trying to overcome an adversity when it's a repeated adversity. You beat it the first time, now it's back, and it's rearing its head a little bit bigger this time. Have you ever experienced that in your own life where it's like it was a repeat adversity that you had to overcome? You thought you had beat it, it came back again, a lot stronger this time. What was your mentality if you dealt with that?
I would say I think we all deal with stuff like that. The challenges of life, the cycle of certain challenges. We've all dealt with that in relationships. You know, as a father, I've dealt with that. As a father of 4 kids, that cycle repeats itself through 4 kids. You know, you're dealing with something with your oldest, and you're like, man, we got this squared away, we straight. But then it's like, we got the second oldest now, and it's like, might be a much different situation. Not that it's worse, but it's just much different, but it's the same situation. And you multiply that times 5, you know, and then as a married man, you know, my wife and I will be celebrating 16 years of marriage on the 12th of this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, for sure.
Thank you. And in 16 years, we've had like mountaintop moments. Mm-hmm. But also, I think anybody would be lying to you if they said, man, marriage is a piece of cake. It's easy. It's a relationship, you know? So there's challenges, and, you know, the most important relationship that I have with another human at times, you know, there's challenges in business. You know, we hire a great batch of people for whatever reason. 2 or 3 of these people are moving, 2 or 3, you know, somebody has a life change. It's like, man, we're right back to square one. Like, we got to go look for how to catch a fish in a place where sometimes it feels like the fish are not biting. Right. We've been through this before, man. 2020 was a great year for us. 2021 was super difficult trying to hire people. I had never experienced anything like this in my life, you know. And we made it through 2021. We learned some valuable lessons. And then in 2022, it's like, man, here we are again. You know, 2023, here we are again. And the tricky thing is, in business, people see your brand and they expect consistency, but it's nothing about doing business that's consistent when you think about it from my side. Yeah. I don't have the same staff I started with on day one. Yeah. I don't have the same staff from 18 months ago. You know, 36 months ago, 70, it changes, you know. So that's a constant. Like, the recurring challenges and the recurring adversity, that is super consistent. You know, it truly is. So yeah, absolutely. In every area of life.
This question is actually a personal question. So I want to pick your brain. It's personal for me. You have a real attention to detail. I heard you say before you're not in the food industry, you're in the hospitality industry. And that stuck out to me because obviously when you think about restaurants, it's food. So when you hear that, it's like, but that means you have a strong attention to detail and what you're trying to get out. So I think that goes back to the other question I asked you, what separates you?
Yeah, it does. Very good. Yep.
So
Yep.
my question is more so on the marketing and branding standpoint of it, because that's something that I'm into. Again, how does our brand stand out amongst other people? How does it look different? How does it make people feel? And when it comes to you, I need some feet. Give me some advice. So how do you go about when it comes to branding and market? Because it's a big difference between branding and marketing. When you hear those words, what do they mean? And how do you guys go about it over there at Big Leagues?
So honestly, when I first started, I didn't pay attention to either one of those two terms. It just like naturally happened. You know, the brand, actually, you build your brand every day with every interaction, every conversation, every social media post. You don't have a brand. You might think you have a brand when you first start, but you don't. It's like it develops over time. It's like a blank canvas. You don't have a portrait there yet. You don't have a painting there yet. With each stroke of that brush, it's developing. And once people are able to kind of identify what's on the canvas, that's when you have a brand. And until you get to that point, there's nothing really to market. I can't market just food. People are not coming to Big Lee's because they want ribs. They're not coming to Big Lee's because they want burnt ends. They're not coming to Big Lee's, but they're coming for a Big Lee's experience. And that's what I'm able to market to people. That's what my brand dictates the experience you're going to have. And that's what I market to people, you know. So for us, the focus of it always goes back to hospitality. And that's a part of my business philosophy. I think the way that my interaction with anybody that I'm doing business with, whether they're a customer, a vendor, a fan, a supporter, social media follower, somebody who doesn't like me, they're like, your food sucks, man. Your barbecue's terrible. The whole gambit of interaction I can have with anybody who interacts with my brand, my business, it has to be hospitable. That's part of my philosophy. It's just like I have to get up and go through a certain routine in the morning before I leave my house. I'm not leaving the house unless I brush my teeth and wash my face and put on deodorant. It's like I have to do those things. I'm not going to negotiate on those things. So hospitality is the key, because if you have great food or a great product or a great service, but during that interaction you make people feel they don't feel well in interacting with you, that's what they're going to remember. They might not remember what specific flavor note they tasted in the barbecue sauce, but they'll remember how one of my team members made them feel. Mm-hmm. They'll remember if it seemed like, man, that young lady went so far above and beyond what I was asking of her, and it brought delight to me. You know, I'm paying these people my hard-earned money for this experience, not just the food. They're coming for an experience. We want to exceed whatever their expectation is. That's always been my mentality. When we train our team members, I have this graphic that I go over with them about expectations, and I tell them how it's not our goal to ever meet somebody's expectation. Meeting an expectation is lame, because everybody that is trying to do anything, they're trying to meet an expectation. You know, let's really be focused on how do we exceed expectations. And okay, we start with that premise. What are the different areas that a customer has an expectation? What are all the different areas that people who follow us on social media have expectations? What expectations do our vendors have of us? You know, how do we go above and beyond that? How do we under promise and then over deliver in everything of who we are and what we do? I think that makes a compelling brand. I think that makes a brand compelling. It makes a brand very deliberate. in their approach to what they do. That's why okay is not good enough. Average, you can't exceed with average. You can't exceed an expectation with an average. You can't have the output that exceeds with input that doesn't. You know, that input has to be something that's going to exceed from jump. So that's I would rather not sell barbecue if I knew our barbecue and the barbecue experience was leaving people with an unpleasant experience. Even if the food was great, I would rather not sell barbecue if I knew people were not leaving Big Lee's happy or an interaction with our staff happy. I'm talking even emails, our booking and catering coordinator. Yeah. I told her your job is primarily going to be phone calls and emails, but hospitality doesn't only take place in the restaurant. Mm-hmm. I have to be able to sense or get a sense of your hospitality through your thoughtful communication on the keys, through the tone that's in your voice. Hello? That's not hospitable. I don't want to talk to you just off of that. I'm sensitive to that. Not like, oh, I'm a cry, but like picking up on it. Mm-hmm. Hello, Big Lee's, how can I help you? Completely different experience I just gave you. Right. Hi, this is Rashad. Welcome to Big Lee's. How can I help you? That's a different experience. Hello? So there's one that we want to always deliver, and it's one that I don't want to have any part of because I know how what we do makes people feel. When you think about the word hospitality, the beginning part of that word says what? It says hospital. And the reason why people go to a hospital is to be made well. They're looking for wellness. Bedside manner from a doctor wouldn't even come into play if it was all about just being made well. You want to feel like you're being cared for. You want the doctor to come in. I like if I'm sick, I want the doctor, hey, are you okay? Just that human touch. That says something to me. A doctor who just holds their clipboard, hey, how, and they're kind of standoffish and they might stand there like this talking to me the whole time. That doesn't make me feel good. I might not overtly process it that way, but the doctor walks in, hey, how you doing, Rashad? How you been feeling? Just a little something. That bedside manner, every industry needs that. Every leader of every organization would dramatically benefit from incorporating a foundation of hospitality in their organization. I mean, a foundation of it, not just, oh, this is one of our key values as a company or print. No, I mean, foundationally. And it's not just towards the customer. We even try to practice internal hospitality. I had to come up with that because this was years ago, one team member who was phenomenal with customers, but then they could turn around and interact with another team member in a way that was different than what we just saw. Yeah. And I pulled them aside. I never get on anybody. I never like jump on somebody. So if I want to talk to somebody, I'm gonna pull them away. Because how is it gonna make them feel for me to say that with the audience? I'm not there to put on no show. Mm-hmm. So I pull the person aside and just talk to them. Hey, it's important for you to treat your fellow coworkers the same way you treat customers. Wait, what do you mean? I'm like, hospitality. Like we want to make sure everybody's feeling good when they interact with us. We don't want to have any bad vibes or bad energy. And when you talk to somebody in that tone and you say those things, that doesn't add anything good to what we're doing. That does not belong in our recipe. Oh, wow, I never looked at it that way. And then I started talking about 360 hospitality from every angle, from top to bottom, bottom to top. The way I talk to the person that just got hired, the way they talk to me, the way I talk to a customer. Our delivery drivers, they know when y'all come during lunchtime, we know y'all don't have time to stop somewhere and get food. So guess what we're gonna do to every single one of our drivers? I don't care if it's the bread guy, if it's who, it doesn't matter. Plumber, somebody coming to work on something, we're gonna take care of you. Yeah. And that's gonna make you feel good. That's what it's about. I
like that, man. But I can't let you get out of here. It's been great. It's been a great sit down with you. But I cannot let you get out of here without talking about mentorship. You kind of hinted to it, mm-hmm. throughout the pod. But you spent time with Brazen. In a sense, it was the same thing. You were going into school, speaking life into kids about it was sex. Yep. Sex education. Sex education. Thank you, brother. That's what I was trying to look for. Sex education, in a sense, mentorship. When you hear the word mentorship, what is the importance of mentorship?
So I think the importance of mentorship is there's a transfer that takes place when you have a mentor. People that are successful and to achieve success in a certain area of life, true success always wants to help the people around you in a meaningful way, in a genuine way. Mentorship is important for the person who is the mentor on the mentoring side, just as much as it's important to the mentee, the person who's on the receiving side of that mentorship. And there's a transfer that takes place. If I talk to some of the mentors that I have in my life who may have, operated a very successful business, there's a transfer of knowledge that they may have spent 45 years acquiring knowledge in a specific area. There's no course, there's no YouTube video, there's no class that I can go sit in and learn these things compared to the way I can learn it from a caring mentor sitting down with me and say, Rashad, I want to talk to you about this today. We really need to work on this. And they might unload 45 years of business wisdom on me in one conversation. And they don't want anything in return for it. That's priceless. Yeah. So when it comes to mentoring kids, I started mentoring kids right around the age of 19 prior to Brazen. I was a part of this mentoring program called Strength of the Young. And we started at Howard Middle School. And we went, back then they had a principal there named Scott Hackmeyer. And we went to Principal Hackmeyer and we said, hey, we want the 20 males that you have that are experiencing the most academic failure and who are experiencing the most severe conduct issues. And that's bizarre. Somebody comes and say, hey, give me your worst kids, They're like, oh, yeah, take them. We'll give you 25. Right. You sure you don't want 30?
Yeah.
So we started that program there and didn't make any promises, just spent time with those guys and showed them that we care. And then the second semester, we started incorporating things like conflict resolution, goal setting, just all these different basic values. And, I was able to see firsthand how much it meant to some of these kids. I mean, kids who I never saw smile during the first few times I met them, during the second leg of that program, everybody's happy coming into the class. Not all the time, but they're smiling. It's like they're looking forward to, time with a mentor. And I was able to share some of the things that I had gone through, some of my struggles, some of my early successes with them. So that naturally led into the things I was able to do with Brazen. And Brazen was, man, that was an incredible opportunity. I helped to write grants and procure, millions of dollars of grant funding for, kids right here in Marion County to provide a super genuine message to them, a message that I was even living at the time. Kids would ask me, you ain't abstinent, you lying. I said, why would I want to lie about that? What grown man want to go around bragging about that? Yeah. Like, come on, I don't even, it's like, you know what, you are right. I'm like, I know I'm right. Yeah. I said, I'm trying to be an example. I didn't have that example for y'all. It's a sacrifice, it's a challenge. But I know what's out here on the other side, that plenty of kids that I've talked to that have gotten themselves in situations that it's impossible to get out of now. It's no remedy for this consequence. I'm sorry. Yeah. So if I could be an example to just show you this is possible, I will sacrifice. I will do that. And it would blow the kids away. It's like, man, I never even heard of anything like this. But it's got to be genuine. It's got to be authentic. It's got to be real. And it's funny now because so many of those individuals, they're like adults, their own families now. I'll bump into them at, the mall or Walmart or Publix, and they're like, hey, that's the sex man. I'm like, can we please come up with a different phrase?
Sex man.
No, that's the dude from Brazen. Yeah. And it was some of the work that I'm most proud of in my life. That I will brag on Brazen. Yeah. I might not brag about a barbecue award or something like that, but I'll brag on that work because that was so rewarding. So yeah, mentoring is extremely important.
Bro, now it's coming back. I was at Howard when you came there, bro.
See, bro,
that's why when you said that, I looked.
Yeah.
Bro, that's
I think Miles, you went through it too, right?
Yeah, I can't. can't remember which one, but I know we had Brazen. I almost want to say it was either Indiana Jones or North Marion Middle. One of them.
Probably North Marion Middle.
North Marion Middle, yeah.
They on the portable?
Yep,
crazy.
horrible, yeah.
Nah, so we got to do this. So one thing, I never experienced Brazen. So luckily, they had
crazy.
the opportunity. So one thing I heard through the grapevine, and Brazen used to kick the freestyle.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All
yeah.
right. Do you still got that in you, or did
It's just
that
a
go
part of who
away?
I am. This is part of who I am.
Okay, so what we're gonna see right now. Okay, you hear him. Okay, so what we're gonna do right now. So this is how I heard it go. You can tell me if I'm wrong. I heard people would just give you topics,
Yep.
and you would just spit it off the top.
Right off the top.
So can we do that right here?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we got 3 people right here. We're gonna each give you a topic. Should we give them to you now, or should we just you do one, then we give you the next?
No, you give me all 3 and I tie them all 3 together in a freestyle. That way it proves that it's a freestyle. A lot of rappers say, oh, this is a freestyle. And it's like written there. Hype man knows the words. So like, how is that freestyle if other people know what you're saying?
Okay.
You know, it's not freestyle.
All right, let's do this. Y'all got a word? Y'all come on. I'm trying to think of a word. What we got?
Army.
Mentoring?
Mentoring.
Mental health, okay.
Army.
Mental health, Army,
And I say Ocala.
Ocala. Yo, all right.
Let's see.
Yo, check it out. I never ever did it for self. Yo, I do it because I'm trying to accumulate wealth, not just financially. You can't damage me. Yo, I kick the freestyle. I'm a real MC. I got that wealth. It's mixed with my mental health. Yo, I do it for people and I do it for self. Yo, check it out. I'm shooting bombs just like I'm the army. Yo, they retaliate, but they never could harm me. The military. Yo, I get very, very, very scary. Almost like Nightmare. You start crying when you see them people dying. Bullets are flying. Missiles is hitting. It's been so forbidden when it come to the mentor. And yo, I kick my feet right back to the floor. And yo, so many kids that this mind saw. I said things Matt made them drop their jaw like never before. Have you seen this? The cleanness, the meanness. Yo, God just had redeemed this. He brought me back like they buying that crack. Yo, I bomb back, looks like it was an attack. I'ma stop right there. Yeah, the freestyle's done. Every time you see me, yeah, it's gonna be fun like that.
Okay. My boy still got it. That's what's up, man. I can only imagine how stuff like that affect you going into a school. And that's one of our biggest things, man. You got to be able to, we say speak that level. So many times people go at them and they speaking at them, not to them. You
Right.
going in
Hospitality.
Hospitality. Well, come on.
Hospitality
man.
and a
You
mentoring
transferred
program.
it. I love that.
It'll transform everything.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's
crazy.
crazy. Life is crazy, man. We appreciate you, man. We
Appreciate
appreciate
you.
you for being here, brother. I kind of, to end it, we can go here, just to smooth transition to end it. We live all in Ocala. You're doing a great thing for Ocala. I'm pretty sure when you go out, you go proudly to tell people you're from Ocala to lift the city up. We're doing the same thing. All of us are born and raised here, and we want to see the city better. The city's changing. The city is growing. It's changing, and it's going in a different direction. Where do you see the city going?
Oh man, I see just very positive things for Ocala. I feel like there was a whole group of people when I was a teenager, when you were a teenager, who used to refer to Ocala as Slow Cala. And so many of us was like, man, when I graduate, I'm moving. I'm not gonna stay in Ocala, I'm leaving. But so many of that cohort or that group of people who grew up here and saw things about Ocala that we didn't like, we're all actually doing something about it now. Mm-hmm. You know, I can think of so many people that kept their roots here, or they either moved away and then they came back, and now they're doing things to help make Ocala better. And that's a beautiful story when you think about it. I mean, that's the truest sense of community. Yeah. You know, a whole group of people who are trying to do things in their own unique and special way to make where we live better. So I think Ocala's future is very bright. I think that's what other people who are moving from different places are seeing here. When they come and visit, they experience that. They see the love that we actually have for our city. We're not trying to get out of here like we used to say, I'm about to bounce. We're not trying to bounce. Yeah. We have roots here. You know, we care about where we live. This is our community. This is our city. And we're proud of it. We're proud of Ocala. Right. So I think Ocala's future is extremely bright. It's extremely bright. And everybody sees it. Mm-hmm. When you see all these industries coming here, you see people. I think U-Haul put out some data that said Ocala is the #1 drop-off destination for their U-Haul rental vehicles. Wow. Did anybody hear about that?
Yeah. It's for mid-sized communities or something like that. It's the #1.
Right. Oh. And it's mind-blowing that that's happening right here. Mm-hmm. But we all have to remember we're all a part of that. Mm-hmm. Ocala is not somebody else or the people that are over there or the people that are doing. No, Ocala is us. It's all of us. Yeah. And we're all doing something to make this city better. And I think it's a huge, it's going to be huge, man.
Man, I love it. Hey, man, Rashad Jones, Big Lee, serious about barbecue. Man, I'm going to tell you one thing. So one thing, everybody that's watching this, before we started, I didn't say it, but this man brought in some burrito tacos, some mac and cheese, some street corn. If you haven't had in the tea, we got a name. I'm going to give it a name. The best tea in the world. That tea, you need to go in there and taste it, man. I truly say, I said this in the beginning, man. I really appreciate you for coming through and taking time. And you dropped a lot of gems here. A lot of people, man, they're going to be able to grow from watching this pod. And that's what I wanted to get out of this. I wanted to give information for people to be able to grow. So for you all, first thing I need you to do, like, subscribe, and comment. There's no reason that you should be watching this free content. And this simple thing you have to do is just smash that subscribe button and like button. And man, we appreciate y'all. Comment some of the things that you're feeling right now. And again, we appreciate you. Fellas, y'all got anything you want to close up on? Any words you want to give, Sean?
Man, that's crazy that I just realized that this was you coming to Howard. That's wild. But nah, thank you for coming, man. Definitely.
Well, likewise,
what
man.
you're doing, bro.
Thank you.
I appreciate for the example that you set for the community out there. I mean, we need more of this. We need to celebrate more individuals that are doing these things to help move the needle forward.
Yeah, and even to this point, and I don't play the black and white game. I love everybody. I want to see everything to grow. But me as a black man, to see a black man moving, how you moving, brother, with a family man. It's funny. You. It's a note that I had on my notes to mention April 12th, 2008. Correct? That's when you got married. I had that in my head, and I wanted to ask you. But you mentioned your wife so many times before I can even mention. I didn't even have to go there. And you mentioned your kids. Man, that means a lot, bro. That means a lot. You get what I'm saying? That means a lot for somebody to represent that, to come where we come from, to be able to see a living, breathing example, bro. That means a lot. And when we talk about mentorship, when we talk about role models, you're a living example of a role model, bro. And you should be applauded. You should be plastered all on the walls, on the billboards, because this is what they need to see. This is what's going to help them young men that's over there in that mindset of confusion that don't know what to do. This is what's going to help them get over top, bro, because we can do it.
Absolutely.
And you're an example that we can. All right. So to close out, I want you to look over there, look in that camera, give some last words to the people. However you want to spin it, man, just give them a last word and we'll close out like that.
Just want to say thank you for watching this. Thank you for tuning in. Definitely an incredible podcast to follow. So make sure you hit that subscribe and like button. And hopefully there were several things that we shared today as a collective that's going to be some sort of a benefit to you. And you can't ever eat enough barbecue. So eat some Big Lee's barbecue. Love you.
All right, man. We'll see y'all next week.